What up, though? So, as always, thanks for watching. Thanks for supporting the channel. And thanks for supporting your girl. So, what I want to talk about today is what just got announced. Valve announced that on May 4th, 2026, they will be releasing the Steam controller. Now, my thought process on this is, why do that now when you could have obviously done this months ago? And in the article that I'm about to show you from Polygon, one of the things it said was it wasn't going to be releasing it never was going to be releasing the Steam controller and the Steam machine together. And my husband and I, we were thinking, well, when we heard this news this morning, we're going to wait for the Steam machine, maybe so we can bundle the Steam machine and the controller together, or maybe do what like Neo Geo is doing right now with that ultimate bundle. Maybe we can get an ultimate bundle and get a good deal on it if we wait. But then this article came out from Polygon and we was like, wait a minute, if they were never intent on bundling the Steam machine with the controller, then maybe we should get the Steam controller right now. So we're going to go over to this article from Polygon, and let me remove myself. This doesn't have RAM in it. Why Valve is selling the Steam controller before the Steam machine. Valve says it never intended to launch the two together. And that is pretty much our thought process on it. Like, if they never intended to release these two together, maybe we should each of us order one separately to see who can get it, if we both can get it. Because we were thinking like, oh snap, these things gonna sell out and might not be available for purchase when the Steam machine actually does release. So before, we were going to wait, get it in the bundle. But after this article, we're thinking they're going to sell the whole Steam suite separately anyways and not in a bundle form. So it's probably best just to go ahead and order each of us one now. So let's get into this article. This article came out just today at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And so, following a delay earlier this year, players will be able to order a Steam controller starting on May 4. That means that it will get into players' hands before the Steam machine or the Steam frame, two devices that were announced alongside that. In an interview with Polygon, Valve hardware engineer Steve Yup explained why the team decided to pull the trigger on the Steam controller apart from other hardware. It all comes down to RAM. And it all coming down to the RAM, it does make sense. But I was like, a person like me, who is a Nintendo Switch gamer first, but is really excited about the Steam machine, to me, and this is probably because I don't play PC games like that. My husband, he's a PC gamer, but me, I'm a console gamer. So this is probably my lack of understanding. But I was thinking, why would you sell the controller separate from the system? To me, that's like selling a PS5 separate from the controllers and be like, oh, I just get the controllers later. Or selling the Joy-Cons separate from a Nintendo Switch. That doesn't make any sense to me. However, where it does make sense, and where now, as I'm in this realm, I'm starting to understand, the PC controller can control everything. So basically, I do some gaming on my husband's Legion S Go, because even though I do have a Steam account, some of the games, at least the games that I've been playing recently, even the demos, they do not have Mac support. So I am a Mac. My husband is a PC. A lot of games on Steam that I play as of recently do not have Mac support. Therefore, I have to switch over to my husband's Legion Go S in order to play it. But I use my PS5 controller, which a lot of games support that. However, when we come down to the buttons, that's where I run into some frustration with it, because the buttons on the PS5 controller versus the Xbox controller, because I believe the Steam is set up for like an Xbox controller. So it gets a little wonky there for me because I only have a PS5. Now I can use one of my husband's controllers, obviously, but I'm not familiar with Xbox because I have never played on an Xbox before. I'm familiar with PlayStation. That's why I use the PlayStation controller. But now with the Steam controller coming out, I can get used to using the Steam controller, and it will have that continuity with games on Steam when I hop over to my husband's Legion Go S. So that's where it'll benefit someone like me. But at the same time, if I didn't have my husband and him being a PC gamer, I wouldn't have access to his Legion Go S, and therefore I would be SOL, and I would have to wait for the Steam machine to come out if I wasn't going to go out and build me a PC. Back in February, Valve confirmed that it had delayed its plans to release the Steam machine frame and controller in early 2026. A blog post at the time confirmed that the growing prices of critical components have Valve reevaluating their release date and pricing plans. Steve, we was going to call him Steve. Where was that? Steve confirmed that RAM is part of the problem, and there was no sense of holding back the Steam controller any longer while the memory shortage developed, which I do. Come on, bro. Which I do agree with now that I'm thinking more on the lines of, you know, hey, let's get this controller in our hands now. It makes sense to get the controller in our hands now, because if it goes the way we thinking it's going to go, we're not going to have access to this down the line. It doesn't have RAM in it, and it's not as complicated to start getting out the door for us. We're ready for it. We wanted to build up quantity so that we could try to address everybody who wants one at launch, but it's possible that the demand for it far exceeds our expectations, and I think it will definitely sell out. If not the first day, definitely the second day. I think this Steam controller is definitely going to sell out. A lot of people want it. A lot of people are excited about it, myself included. Even though I'm a console first, Nintendo first gamer, I'm extremely excited about this Steam machine, and picking up this controller right now is going to be a must, because I already play games, like I said, on my husband's Legion Go S. So picking up the Steam controller and getting used to that format now will help me along, because I'm so used to playing with the PlayStation controller, and having the Steam controller early to get myself acclimated, I think will be a plus. The current RAM crisis is a side effect of the tech industry's AI push. Data centers require lots of memory, so the companies behind them are striking lucrative deals with chip manufacturers to lock down specialized components. That's driving up the price of RAM for companies like Valve, since supply is low, putting a wrench in its plans to ship both the Steam machine and Steam frame at a reasonable price point for consumers. And what I was thinking too about that is Valve might have to wait to release the Steam frame and the Steam machine probably in early 2027 for the basis of price. I think a lot of people do not like this AI push, and consumers are pushing back on it. Companies are really pushing forward with it because they feel as though this is the future. This is going to cut back on costs for them and the like. But I think a lot of consumers in all categories, industries, are really pushing back on it. And even though I think there is a benefit for it, I think that the demand is overhyped in a sense. It seems to be artificial to me. And that's why the prices are being overblown right now. I think if they were to wait a little while, maybe early 2027, and I know that even hurts me when I say that. That even hurts me when I say that. But for the consumers to possibly reap the benefits and get the best price possible, I think they might have to delay it even longer, which is, it hurts to say that. It does. It really does. Though that has torpedoed part of Valve's hardware plan, Steve said the staggered Steam controller release isn't entirely out of step with how it planned to release its 3 new products. They were never tied to a shared release date, and which I'm a little disappointed in that. I would have liked to have seen some type of bundle, like Steam Machine bundle with the Steam controller, or an ultimate bundle, like I was saying, like the Neo Geo did, where you have the frame, the machine, and the controller all bundled into one, and then maybe have the Steam frame and then the controller bundled. I don't know how that would work, but have that as a bundle. Maybe that might also still be an option, but if they were never intended to release on the same date, then that means the bundle was not going to be there out of the gate, wasn't going to be there initially. That's how I'm reading it. That's just how I see it. From the beginning, these were all different products, obviously, but you got to bundle some of it. We had always thought, obviously, we want them to work together well, especially the Steam Machine and the Steam controller. They're in a lot of ways a pair made in heaven, but we saw no need to ship the controller at the same time as the machine. The really only hard deadline is we didn't want to ship the Steam Machine before the Steam controller. We want to have that out for the Steam Machine. It wasn't really ever the plan to ship them together unless it landed nicely that way. So there's no point in holding it back while we work through the other stuff. Understandable. And I guess they wanted to build up quantities, but I mean, you could have released that. If that was never the plan to release them together, you could have released the Steam controller through the initial launch minus the frame and the machine. And you could have probably been doing a second wave or even a third wave of quantity or back orders or whatever at this point now, because obviously you know a little bit about the time frame when you're going to release the frame and the machine. Was that it? Oh, let me see. If your plan is to buy a Steam controller to use with one of Valve's upcoming products, you'll be able to add the former to your Steam cart starting on May 4. You'll have to wait a little longer to actually get a Steam Machine or Steam frame to pair with it, though, as both are still tentatively scheduled to release in the first half of 2026. You'll still be able to use your Steam controller on PC through Steam Client, mobile via Steam Link, or Steam Deck in the meantime. And that's it. I saw this comment right here by this individual. I thought it was very interesting. Either way, they lost the train on this one. The machine will either release so late that it'll be severely underperforming, or it will be so expensive that it won't sell anything substantial. And I'm saying this as someone who's been ready to buy one for 6 months. And I agree with that sentiment. It really does come down to, is it going to be already outdated by the time we get it? And by the time we do get it, is the price going to be outdated? Is the price going to be stupid to the point to where you have to reevaluate your situation. Like, why would I spend all this money on a system that's significantly outdated, that, you know, it's a setback, not a come up? And I'm thinking too, it probably is best, like I mentioned earlier, that they do wait. But how long do you want to wait until that price come down? Because it's like, dang if you do, darn if you do, darn if you don't. Because if you wait too long, what's that's going to look like if you're trying to make it price friendly for consumers? But at this point, I think people, myself and my husband included, we just might make that purchasing decision, especially if Valve give us the option to like update it on our own, like any other PC. It doesn't have that freedom that we can go in and update the hardware components that make sense without having to wait for them to come out with another Steam machine that will match the technology area, or the technological environment that we're currently in. Downtown in those comments is the way to my love, and while you down there, freak that like button and let's have a conversation. What do you guys think? I'm still excited for the Steam machine, even the Steam frame. I think the Steam frame will be my first VR. I was thinking about getting it for the PS5 because we was at Best Buy the other day, me and hubby, and we saw that vest that, like, I guess if you get hit for real in the game, you can actually feel it. I thought that was kind of wild, but yeah. So the frame will definitely be my first VR, but that price, it gotta look like it means business. And also too, what's the technical hardware that's going into the frame? I have to look that up because I'm not privy to that. And can you also go into there and change some of the hardware components to upgrade it as more technological advances happen? Are we going to be able to do that with the frame and with the machine, the Steam machine? So it's a lot of questions that I want to know. I haven't seen anybody really talk about that. And if we're talking about a PC, I mean, you naturally think that I should be able to upgrade these on my own and be able to, you know, go to Best Buy or Newegg, or what is that other place called? It's another place my husband goes to online. Am I able to go to these other places, buy third-party hardware and upgrade this machine as I go along? Is it going to be that versatile? I hope so, along with the frame. I hope so. And I mean, I can't wait. We're ordering the Steam controller on day one. Let me know downtown in those comments if you are picking up the Steam controller. And also too, what is your limit on purchasing the Steam machine? What will you settle at? And what are your limits? Like, you can't go past 1,200 or something crazy like that. I'm very curious to what they're going to do. And I hope they do a bundle later on down the line. If we just pick up the controller right now, they might do a bundle for the Steam machine and the frame bundled together. Even they're not releasing together, but once they're both released separately, is there going to be a bundle? But we shall see. Or if they do get released on the same day because of the time frame, which will make sense, because if the time frame is so far out, do you really want to waste more time on staggering the releases? You might as well, at this point, you might as well release both the Steam machine and the Steam frame once y'all figure out the chip situation. Y'all might as well release those as soon as you're able to work out the money situation with that. But let me know what you guys think. Don't forget your keys, your wallet, and your phone on your way out.